Okay, welcome to Rico 12. I'm Purdy, your host, a child of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God, and an addict living in the miracle of recovery one day at a time. Rico 12 is dedicated to exploring the common threads of addiction, sharing tools and offering hope for those walking a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and locations to learn and support one another. Our speakers come from various fellowships and experiences demonstrating the universal principle of recovery. This is Rico 12 Speaker Meeting 322. Thank you for joining us live or on the recording later. Today's speaker is David L., discussing the 12-step principles. I look forward to hearing his message shortly. But first, a few quick announcements. Rico 12 resources. Rico 12 offer a variety of recovery resources, including podcasts and social media communities. To explore more, visit www.rico12.com or check the chat and show notes for links. Rico 12 is self-supporting, and your contributions help us continue this mission. Thank you to all our spearhead donors, past and present, especially Amy, Bob, and Deborah this week. Your support truly means and truly makes a difference. If you'd like to contribute, visit www.rico12.com/support or check the links in the show notes and chat for one-time or monthly donation options. Every bit of support, financial or through word of mouth, helps us share the message of recovery. Each week, we receive light and inspiration from our speakers. Their experience brings hope, meaning, worth, and growth to all the listeners. Now let's welcome today's guest speaker, David L., and learn a little bit more about him. David L.'s journey with alcohol began at the age of 2 when his mum gave him his first drink in a baby bottle to keep him quiet. David grew up in a dysfunctional family with both of his parents being alcoholics. Despite their struggles, David didn't follow the same path permanently. Eventually, he hit rock bottom. He was exhausted from being drunk and using drugs. That's when he decided to go into treatment and hasn't looked back since. Today, David's life is dedicated to helping others. He sponsors men in recovery and stays deeply involved in the H&I hospitals and institutions community in Phoenix. One of his favorite commitments, is bringing meetings to jails. It is a service that fills him with purpose and hope. Take it away, David. The floor is yours.
Okay. My name is David. I am an alcoholic. And by God's grace, I've been sober since February the 24th of 92. A couple of weeks ago, I celebrated my 33 years of sobriety. Like you said, is that, I love the principle. So you got a little bit of the background, because I don't like to share a lot on the background, because that's why we're here. We already know how to get drunk, but how to stay sober is the big key. So what I'd like to start off is like Purdy said, is the different principles. Everybody has their opinions on everything. The way they work their program. I work my program different than some others, but the bottom line is that we all find a way to grab hold of our recovery. Before I start, I'd like to invite God into my talk. God, provide me the strength, the knowledge, and the wisdom. Let me use your words, not my words, as I share my experience, strength, and hope. And I give you the honor and the glory. Thank you. Okay. My topic is basically our 12 principles. And some of you guys are aware that we do have 12 principles. Every step has a principle behind it. And the first principle that I'd like to talk about is step 1, which is the principle of honesty. That's the only step that we have to do totally 100% honest. And that step helped me to see that I had a problem. And once I admit that I had a problem, that gave me the great opportunity to move forward in recovery. Because until you complete that step one 100%. It's not half measured, it's 100%. You have to be totally honest before you can move to the next step. But some people don't like to be totally honest. They say, "Oh, let's get through it. Let's get through it." But that's not the case. You have to be totally honest. So and and that's the only step that you have to be 100% honest. And I was 100% honest when I got here. Yes, did I wanted to drink? Yes, did I wanted to use? But always remember where it took me. It took me to homeless. It took me to places that I didn't want to go to. So that's the first principle. Now, the second principle is step two is hope. So we were insane. Or was we insane? So when I can recall that I'm not hopeless anymore. I have plenty of hope. I have potential. And that's what this principle helped me with, is gave me the opportunity to see, to work on my totally, that I'm not insane. God gave me the opportunity to find hope. It came to believe that Apollo creator myself could restore me to sanity. So anytime I put any kind of mind altering substance into my body, it transformed me into somebody else. Because I know some of you guys were, like me, were chameleon. So every time you had a drink, you became somebody else. Or if you're around certain people, you act certain way. So that's what I was. I was more of a chameleon. So now I got plenty of hope. So God has gave me, now I got the steam to move forward. And step three, is the principle behind that is faith. And I always use this acronym for faith, finding answers in the heart. I'm finding the answers in my heart. That's where God looks at. He looks at the heart. He don't look on the outer appearance. And now I had the opportunity to move forward. I was brought up in a religion that anything you do, you're going to hell if you don't confess. So I know. So I said, well, I might as well continue doing what I'm going to do. But when I started working the step of faith, that's where I found my God. And my God is not the God that I grew up with. My God is a comedian. And I tell people, my God likes to tell me jokes. If you like, my God is like a Red Fox and Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and all these other type of comedians that I grew up with. Because you probably all heard this, that if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And he's been laughing at my plans ever since. So and I can talk to him any kind of way. I call my God big. I call my God, what's up, dude? I call him dude. I call him whatever. He doesn't matter as long as I'm reaching out to him. That's where my faith began. And then number four, the fourth step. Some people don't like to do it. Now we got to write about ourselves. You know what? That's a lot of courage. Now we got to write about ourselves. See, I can tell you about yourself. I can write everything about you guys. I can write everything about all of you. But ask me to look at me. That is impossible. Why should I look at me? But it's telling me, it's giving me an opportunity to clean my house, to clean my store. Because it tells you in the big book that, you don't want to keep spoiled goods in your store. You want to get rid of it. And that's what I was doing. And it takes a lot of courage to write about me, about my fantasies, my explorations that I did in my disease. So I had to take a lot of courage to do that. And then once I wrote those down, Then I went to the next step, which is integrity, another word for honesty. And it took a lot of courage. Now, see, now it says to God, to myself, to God, I said, oh, God already knew that I'm doing, but now do I have to tell somebody else?
Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M. and me, Justin B., on Rico 12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M., streaming now on your favorite podcast platform.
About my fantasies are, my well, you guys gotta excuse me because I'm still fighting a cold, so my head is is still going. About about my expertise, my I'm trying to think of the word right now, but my failures. That's the word. Is my failures in my background. So I just have to look at it. Wow. So to me, it reminded me of going to when I did the fifth step. It reminded me of doing a confession, and the difference between this and confession. I didn't have to bring out my rosary beads or say Our Father or Hail Mary. I didn't have to do that. My sponsor listened to me, and we went over it and over it. I mean, I have done multiple fifth steps with different sponsors because I moved to different places because I was a contractor. So every place I went to, when I stayed there a while, I got a sponsor and they asked me to work the steps. So I worked the steps. So when I did the fifth step, now the next part is my character defects. It takes willingness to list out my character defects. It says list them out. It didn't say do anything different. It says list out your character defects. And where I found my character defects is when I did that fourth step. There was things that I kept doing over and over again. Because I found a list probably about a decade ago. Is a list of character defects. And it was like 194 of them. And there was about 80 of them that I'm still working on. The biggest one is I put that on the list. It didn't say what order or which one you're going. I just make a list of all your character defects. So that's what I did. And that's what the willingness takes me. Now it takes number 7 is humility. Now I got to ask God to ask him to remove them. He didn't say I'm going to remove every single one of them. And the book and the 12 and 12 talks about, he didn't say render us white as snow. He just wants us to remove those character defects. And the ones that are glaring, he will remove, or he mold them into something better. Because not all are, there's assets and liabilities for every character defects. I have a chance to identify them now. Because, when I was working the steps, I didn't identify them, but there's patterns. And we all have different types of patterns as, character defects. Some are glaring and some are not. When I shared on this step a while back, I talked about there's a character defects that I still work on, but I know that it's a character defects is procrastination and sarcasm. Those are my 2 biggest ones. And procrastination is that I can do it right. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. Oh, I'll do it next week. Next week come. Oh, I do it the following week. Next thing they know, it's over a week. I can tell you the one that is the biggest one, like I said, it's character defects. I got something, I got a bathroom sink that is leaking. It's been leaking for a month. And I said I'll get it done, but I know I have to get it done because I don't want to see the water bill keep going up. And there's some things in my garden that I got to change the sprinkler head. That has to be changed. So these are things that I'm working on. And sarcasm, my wife can tell you about that. She can tell you about the sarcasm. And that's one of the biggest character defects, that I see. There's other ones, but those are the most glaring ones for me. And the next one is another one. Is another one into action is step 8, which is basically is making a list. Now you're making a list of people that you're going to make, that you want to make amends to. And that's another thing that you get off of your 4th step. See, that's why people don't burn their 4th step. Some people burn their 4th step and now they want to know where I'm getting that list from. And that's what's called brotherly love. And the brotherly love behind it is, excuse me, brotherly love is that now we write a list of all the people that we want to make amends to. And once we, finish that list, then we go on to the next step. The next step is justice. And justice is now we got to go and confront the people that we want to make amends to. I've been to so many meetings where people were seen this step. Oh, I got to go and make an amends, and it turned out wrong. It turned out bad because they skipped the others because they seen this, and I got to go and make amends without talking to a sponsor, without anything, because they haven't worked the steps. And then once they worked the steps, the amends became, the other person accepted it because they pointed out their wrongs, not the other person's wrongs. So then you have different columns when you do this one. You got the ones you're going to do right now, ones you're going to do later, ones maybe, and then ones you'll never do. And then the last one I put down for me is living amends. Sometimes you can't, sometimes the people are gone. And some people that you can't really talk to, but you're making a living amends by not drinking. And that's what I end up doing. And by me not drinking is that I'm making that a living amends each and every day. And number 10, now we're moving into what we call the maintenance steps, where we promptly admit it when we were wrong. That sometimes is a very difficult step, and that's perseverance. And for me, it's going to take some time. So when I'm wrong, I got to promptly admit it. And sometimes I don't see it right away. But when I do, I make that amends right then and there. But the hardest one is family. I like to hold on to it. And then when I come to my senses or getting enough pain, then I make that amends. And so by making that amends, I feel a lot better. So it's replenishing the nutrients in my body, my spirit. So when I make that amend, and step 11 is the spiritual awareness. This is where I get connected to the God of my own understanding. People think I'm crazy when I tell them, hey, I get up an hour early just to do my prayer and meditation. I go through a ritual that I read some non-AA books and AA books, and I ask God for guidance and peace for our fellow. I always got to pray for the brothers and sisters in our 12-step programs. I pray for the healing of any one of our brothers and sisters these are the things I'm not praying for. Well, God, can you give me some money? Take care of my bank account. No, is God wants you to give you is to care for others. Because one of my readings I read, I think a couple of days ago, where it talks about serving others and being a dominion over our disease. See, when I'm serving others, I can be a dominion over my disease. But if it's the other way around, my disease is dominion, so I can't serve others. So, in the service of others is like, in my, a little bit of bio is that, yeah, I love doing the H&I stuff. I'm on the committee for the jails, and the fun part I love about it is that I get to go into the jails. I get to talk to these young men and give them the experience, strength, and hope, and tell them like it is, because they don't understand. Some of them already got their plans. I'm going to do this, do that. I said, you keep doing this and do that, you're going to be right back in here. After I tell them, give them the scenario, what's going on. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, well, I need to do this. And that's what God gives me the opportunity to share that with these young men. And sometimes I do go into the jail, the women's jail, as a substitute. That's not my permanent thing, because I am the coordinator. So I do substitute for some women if they can't go in. But I haven't lately. But that's the where I get the spiritual, awakening, which is the next step, is a spiritual awakening after the result of working all of these steps. That's when you get this spiritual awakening, you get to see things. I didn't have that spiritual awakening like Bill did, lights flashing and everything else. And some people have that. I have the slow burning. I have what we call the crock pot. The crock pot, spiritual awakening. It's slowly and it's finally happens. So when I doing that, and which is the end of the thing, when you have the spiritual awakening and then you do the service, that the principle behind that one is service. So service is like what you guys are doing right here. Like Purdy is doing, he's hosting the meeting. You guys are here listening to some guy from Arizona, sharing his experience, strength, and hope about the principles. For me, is service. I do a lot of service on Zoom and in person. I chair a lot of meetings on Zoom. I go to meetings all over the globe and do service. I give input to things for people that are, new in recovery. I try to be a sort of like a father figure for some, because I tell everybody, if you're younger than 32 years old, you're my grandchild. And if you're between 32 and 50, then you're my son's daughter. And anything else, you're my brothers and sisters. And anything older than that, then you can be my mom or dad. And I got a guy that I call dad. He's been married longer than I've been alive. But he's my AA dad. But I love joking around with a lot of things. But service is the key. It's one part of recovery, because in the 12 and 12 it says that staying sober and doing service is not going to keep you clean. That's what they call two-stepping. What helps keep you sober and clean is having a sponsor, working with the sponsor, working the steps, doing service, and continually helping others. And that will help. I ain't gonna say it's not gonna keep you clean and sober, but that's a start. And one last thing I'll share before I shut up is that what I was told when I went to treatment is that if I want long-term sobriety, I had to do three things. One, go to a men's meeting, go to a big book study, and go to a 12 and 12. And in the 33 years that I've been in this program, I still continue to do that because that's key. And me reading the big book and the 12 and 12, there's some new words that pop up in here. I never seen them. So that's the reason why I continue to go, because I'm continuing learning. Once you stop learning, you stop growing. And each and every day is a growth period for me. So I get to learn something new. So that's all I got to share. Thank you, Purdy, for hosting the meeting.
Hey, thank you, David. Thank you, brother. So good to hear you, man. Absolutely love it. And yeah, what a life-changing thing this is, principles, steps, fellowship, blood of this fellowship, incredible. Guys, just a reminder, if it says it in the chat, if you've got any questions, please send them into the chat. If you want to remain anonymous, just send them in to me privately and I can read them out and we can ask David a few questions. But thank you for participating in the Rico 12 meeting. Okay, it is time for our Q&A session. I'm still awaiting some questions, but I have a few, most definitely. So I'll open us up, David. You spoke about honesty, the step one. You said I had to be 100% honest coming in here. When we think back at our life, a life of liars, a life of fear, how did that process feel? Was it a very natural thing just to come in and be honest? Was it last house on the block stuff? What was that experience like for you, being honest?
Being honest, it was something new. It didn't happen right away because my disease distorted everything because I told a lie on everything. One, how many drinks did you have when you get pulled over? And the cop, and I said two. The cop said, everybody say two. That's not being honest. Or, what happened to the money that you supposed to went to the store with? That's not being honest, and you're gone for 2 or 3 days. So it was a process. And I'm glad I had great mentors or sponsors that helped me through the process and identify where I was dishonest and now change that dishonest into honesty. And our book tells us this is the only step that we have to do 100. It's in the 12 and 12 where it says this is the only step that we have to do 100%. And that's what helped me. I had to identify, am I being honest? And I always have to question myself. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, I find for me it was the same. It was a very, it grows as we go through with this honesty, but it was very. I saw it in fellowship. I felt part of, and I think in fellowship for that reason is absolutely incredible. Uniquely qualified. We're in the same place, pain, suffering, misery, and we find this common ground. Where we can actually open up and be honest about our feelings. I find it beautiful to witness a miracle of emotions coming out, where we'd hide them before, to actually cry, to let go, to be completely honest is just a vital part of recovery and step one. Mm-hmm. Guys, still just asking if there's any questions. Feel free, please get them in. I could keep going all night. I absolutely love it, and I'd love to hear David's thing. But I'll ask another one while you're warming up, guys. You spoke about steps 2 and 3. Obviously, hope and faith. We are insane, you said, most definitely, and to restore to sanity. We make that decision to hand ourselves to God, a relationship that builds beautifully. Coming into fellowship, how much hope and faith did you get from fellows and meetings?
Hey Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. My very first meeting that I went to, I thought you guys bunch of crazy folks because you're sharing things in meetings that I would have never shared in a meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, men holding men's hand when, doing the Lord's Prayer. And, and I said, that's not right. That is not right. So I had a different perspective on the program. And I think I'm in the wrong program. I don't really need it. So, but keep coming back. That's why we say keep coming back. The miracle will happen. And the miracle did happen. And I start hugging guys. I rather hug the women, but I really start hugging guys. I still hug guys, man. Hey, brother, thank you. And I got that hope because there's other men, especially with the guys that had like 60 days. That's a long time being clean sober. And I said, wow, that's a lot of hope. That is a lot of hope. So, and then see them get and celebrate. We celebrate these milestones that we happen in the program. So I'm learning. So after that, I'd start keep coming back, and I start going to different meetings and start getting that, like the engine, it's basically like the engine, the steam engine. You got to throw coal in it. And that's what happened. I start coal into it, and my engine start getting running faster and faster. And then I finally got on the train and haven't looked off, haven't got off since.
Incredible. Thank you, mate. Thank you. I think, similar feelings, brother, coming in and just seeing the love for each other and, opening with a cuddle and hugging each other, going to these, the person that picked up the phone to me, that 12-step call, that kindness. And it gave me so much hope. It gave me so much hope. Faith, speakers that I see speaking on meetings, the people being of service. It was just absolutely incredible. Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Okay,
I'll keep going. Step 6 and 7, willingness, humility, the spiritual seesaw. A time that I spend a lot of my time in that. The me to God, me to God, me to God. Quietening me up and then letting God in. How important is 6 and 7 in your recovery, mate?
It is. I do 6 and 7 more than I do 10. Because these are, they said 10, 10, 11, and 12. I do this more because I'm one to look at my character defects because I don't want them to pop out. And you guys know that sometimes our character defects does pop out, especially if we're not spiritually right. And I'm not for, people in the States, you got these checker lines. And it says 10 items or less. And you got a person in there with 15 items. And it takes a lot of patience and willing and that character defects. Or you want to say, ma'am, dude, what's going on, man? It says 10 items or less. And you got 15. Or you got this young lady or old man, whatever. And they, instead of having the money ready, they dig in the purse and they bringing out coins instead of dollars. Oh God. So God has given me patience. And you probably all this said, never pray for patience. I did. And now I got patience. So sometimes I go into one of the longest lines because I said, shoot, I don't have nothing else to do. Just to try my patience. Or if someone got less items than me and they need to get ahead, I say, go ahead. I'm in no big hurry because God has given me the patience. And what helped me, and I didn't talk about it because, and you guys probably read the book, Drop the Rock. That book has helped me a lot. When I read this the first time, then I read it with my sponsor. With my sponsee. It gave me some insight on what my character defects are affecting me and how I apply them in my life. So now I can identify them. I know what they are. I know what they can do for me, the good. And all our character defects have some good side to it. All of them. So, if you got anger issue, what I've learned to do is that I've learned to count or just walk away. Because it's how my friend says, why throw kerosene on a fire? If it's already a fire, why you throw kerosene on it? It's going to make it worse. So it's best to walk away. And that's what helped me. And, the 7 is the ones that I give to God and let him help me identify them and work on them. And he's continually working on them. And it's just like gold. For getting pure gold, it has to be under a lot of heat. And that's what God's put me under, a lot of heat, so he can get all the impurities so I can be a perfect gold bar. And you know when I'm going to be a perfect gold bar? When you guys are viewing my body. That's when I'm going to be a perfect gold. So it's constantly being redefined. So there you go there, Purdy.
Yeah.
Hope I answered it.
Yeah, most definitely, mate. So much. I think, really for me, it's that where we start to really build that relationship with, really build that relationship with God. The spirituality percolates through, and it seeps into others. That, like you say, that pause, that stop, that time before I go out and act, before I act on emotion, I get the opportunity to stop. And the step 10 tells me I'm in 6. 6, I get to move to 7. And I think for me, I think about like relationships, and especially my ex-wife, the ceased fighting anyone and anything, but that not fighting back, the spirituality has seeped into her, and all of a sudden we can become best friends again. Our kids benefit. What an amazing process that is. Okay, guys, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please text away in the chat. Let me know, guys. It'd be great to hear from you. You spoke about step 8, love, step 8 and 9. Love and forgiveness, and our hearts soften. Our hearts soften in this program. Love fills our souls. We're following this treasure map. We're opened up to this beautiful way of life. How was the amends process for you? Did you bulk at some? Was you like let go and let God in all of them, or was it still fear led? And did the promises come true? What was that process like for you, brother?
That process to my parents and my kids, it was simple. And to other people, it was okay. But I had one with my aunt. I had many. I can tell you, God has given me many opportunities to make amends to my aunt. It took 3 years, and I guess kept getting nudged and nudged. Then all of a sudden, I got the nudge, and I made the phone call to my aunt. It says, I need to make an amends to you for XYZ. And she said to me, baby, I don't remember. I said, I waited 3 years to do this, and I could have did it earlier. But I felt relieved. And another amends, I've been making a living amends, or more or less a financial amends. I wrote a lot of hot checks, and some of you guys might know, you guys might have wrote some too. And the grocery store went out of business, but I knew who bought the business. So anytime I went to San Diego, I always made a point to go to that chain. And my mom always asked me, why do you keep going to this store? There's of course quite a few places a lot closer. Mom, you don't understand. So I didn't go into great detail telling her, hey, Mom, I wrote a lot of hot checks here. That's sweet. I'm going making my financial amends by buying stuff from that store. She would have never understood. So some things that you can't pay back because maybe the store went out of business or the person is no longer available or maybe deceased, and you don't know about any other relatives. So you can probably, another way of making financial is maybe give it to a charity on the behalf of somebody, because you can't do it personally to the other person. So these are the things that I've done. And then, like what you mentioned, it's not a prerequisite to have an X to be an AA. I can tell you that, but I know a lot of people have a lot of X's. And you know what? It's been pushing me and pushing me because my ex-wife is on that never list. And the more and more that I've been in this program, the more and more, because she hurt me, and I was going to tell her how she's hurt me, but the longer I've been in the program, I might make one and tell her that, I wasn't a good husband. I wasn't a good father. I messed up my part, it's clean my side of the street instead of, how it talks about blaming them for this and that. It's been pushing me. It's been in my heart. I don't know where she lives at, but I know she's still alive. So it maybe one day it might come down to that part where I might have to make that amends that was on my never list. Because sometime on your never list, you can make those amends. Because I heard people write letters went to the gravesite and read it and put the letter there. One other thing I did, I couldn't make it. I didn't work the steps, but I heard in a meeting that when this person passed in their life, they put their coin in their casket. So what I did, because I didn't have a chance to make that amends, because my grandmother, I heard she's the one that raised me, and I hurt her a lot. I know I did. And the only thing I could do was my amends to her is staying sober. So I put my 30-day chip in her casket. And that was my amends to her. And, if I had many more. So, these are things that by going to meetings, you hear some things like that. You hear people do that. So that's how my amends, and it was a process. It was a long drawn out process, but I did without the guidance of my sponsor, except for when I put that 30-day coin in my grandma casket. Besides that, everything else was following the process of following each process with the guidance of my sponsor. And I've done the same thing with my guys. When they ask me questions, something, it's called experience. So I'm glad that hopefully I answer your question.
You did. Language of the heart. Really beautiful to listen to. Thanks for sharing that with us, David. Okay. I'm going to just keep going, guys, but feel free, come in. It'd be great to hear from you. 10, 11, and 12, the maintenance steps, you call them, or the maintenance of a spiritual life, discipline, awareness, and service. How important in your life now is that inventory, that prayer and meditation? How important is prayer and meditation in your life today, mate?
Hey, Rico 12 Spearheads. If our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word of mouth support, keeps Rico 12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at rico12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Rico 12 Spearhead.
I can tell when I don't pray and meditate, I got a crappy day. It's very crappy. And then you go back oh, I didn't pray and meditate, then you can stop and pray and meditate. But it is crucial. Shared is that I get up maybe an hour early just to do that because it is crucial to me, very important, because I get the contact with the God of my own understanding and we can talk. I don't have to get up and, say thou and all this, like I said, homeboy, I say, what's up, homeboy? I talk to him just like I'm talking to other people out in the streets when I was, doing the street. I can talk to him any kind of way. And I just, and ask them for the guidance for this day and the guidance for all my friends and family. This is the key for my spiritual buildup is that I get the opportunity to talk to God, talk to him and ask him for guidance. See, he don't walk in front of me and he don't walk behind me. We walk hand in hand on this journey. And if it gets too hot, he might move a little bit in front of me to get the smoke out the way, the heat out the way. But then he comes right back with me and walk with me and showed me, okay, you see what I just did? Now you can do the same thing. I'm giving you some experience. So this is the key for me for my spiritual journey with this 12-step program is that I can walk hand in hand with God. And you probably read the footstep of the footprint prayer where, when the guy had the scenery, everything else, all of a sudden there's only 2 footprints. And he asked, God, what happened? Yeah, footstep in the sand. When he asked, God, there's only the rough times in my life, there's only 2 feet. And he come back, he said, that's when I was carrying you. See, and I know God has carried me through thick and thin. He carried me when I should have been locked up, dead. He protected me while I was out there. And now I give him the appreciation for all that he have done for me. And the only thing he wants to do for me is just give him thanks, to recognize that he is, the God of my life and the key to my serenity. So that's all I can say is that, he's a big part of sobriety. My sponsees always tell me, oh, you're so spiritual. I'm not spiritual. It's just that I learned how to contact and talk to God in a way that he helps me. And, sometimes, and a lot of you guys probably share in meeting and you're wondering, where did that come from? Because it comes from within. God is in our heart. And if our heart is right, everything else will come out right. So I try to keep God in the forefront of my heart so he can help me and guide me in everything that I do. See, I can talk about this one forever. So.
Yeah, amazing, mate. And you can feel it off you. And that serenity and that peace, it comes from this relationship, walking hand in hand. I love that footprints in the sand story. Absolutely incredible. But yeah, and the way you see you speak to God, that conversation. It's like morning. A relationship like you would a relationship, as opposed to a set of, and there's nothing wrong with either or. But it's about that connection and that feeling, and you can see it through you, brother. Okay, service, step 12. You spoke about H&I, which is obviously really important to you, and sharing in prisons. I have done service in this area, and it is an incredible experience. What would you say to anyone who wants to get involved?
Well, is start off, because I've been involved with H&I for over 30 years. And I didn't start going to jails and prison until about 20, was it in 2000? Yeah, about 2000. So that's when I started going into prisons and jails, because I was going taking to treatment centers, talking to treatment centers and stuff like that. But the biggest experience I had was the first time I ever went to the jails. I was afraid because one, I never been to jail, I never been to prison. So the next thing is that one of the men's meeting I went to, they take me into the prison. So I went with them. I felt very comfortable. And plus there was less doors closing. In the jails, there was a lot of doors closing. So, but in the jails, the prison, there was like two doors. You go through one, then you go and get, go through the wand and everything else, and then you're out to the yard, and then you go into where you're going to have the meeting. I fell in love with that because I felt like I could reach somebody. And I think that was my mission that God gave me, to reach his people that he couldn't reach. And what I tell the inmates is that the reason why you're here, because God was trying to get your attention outside and you didn't listen. And so he brought you here. So now you have the only person you can talk to is him or nobody. And you know what? 95% of those inmates said, yeah, you're right, because there were signs that he told me not to do. I shouldn't have did this, but I did do it anyway. My conscience was telling me this. So this right here is I get to reach them, and then they tell me their ideas, what they're going to do when they get out. I said, okay, that sounds like a good idea. So you be back in wearing your orange again. You be wearing your orange jumpsuit again because your idea got you here. And I tell them, the certain things I tell them, I said, your friends and homeboys and everything else, where are they at? Have any of them put money on your books? Have any of them came and visit you? And probably 99% of them, or 100% of them said no. I said, as soon as you get out, they're gonna put they're gonna put a beer in your hand, a joint, or some cocaine or something in your present, and they're gonna say, hey man, here, welcome back. I said, they ain't your friend, because you're gonna end up right back here. So I give them the scenario of what's gonna happen. I said, you don't need to be here. You're telling me these guys are making six figures. These guys were making six figures. They had good jobs, 3 or 4 cars. One incident, and they ended up. Some of them was their first time. Some of them is their second, third time. But they all had great careers, making good money. But they said just that one drink, and they just flipped the switch, and the script, and everything just like a funnel went down, and they end up here. So I let them know, because I've been doing this a lot, and also I have done, this is an outside issue, but I do prison ministry too. So I give them from the religious side. So I mix my AA and prison and religious experience with the sharing, because they need to hear that. That gives them the opportunity to grow, and don't repeat what they had. They don't have to repeat what happened for them to get back into in the jails or prison. So is that right there, and I worked my chain up from when I doing H&I. I was a jail coordinator. I was a jail coordinator, and then now I'm the jail coordinators for all the jails in the Maricopa County jail. So I coordinate the people so they can go to the different jails, because we got 5 jails, but only 2 of them are open because they still having problems because of COVID. So the volunteers don't get to go in the other 3 jails, but But one thing about it is I love it. It's fulfilled me. I can tell when I go to the jail, I don't really want to go. There are days I just don't feel like going. Once I get there, I get some energy. And when I'm done, I feel like I'm 5 feet off the ground when I'm leaving because I felt that I reached somebody. And at the end, they said, "Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you. I need to hear that." Oh, I was in the gut. I was in the gutter, and you explained something to me that I did really looking for an answer. See, these are the things that I love doing. That you don't know who you're gonna reach. If I reach one person, that helps. But sometimes I reach more than one. That's the excitement I love about service work. I mean, I was a GSR, I was a area treasurer. I did all that, but I just love going into jails. I just love H&I. You'll find your niche as service in AA. We got so many service positions. You'll find it. So, thank you, Purdy.
Hey, David, thank you so much, mate. It was really beautiful to hear. Thank you for your service. 30 years, incredible. And you can see it lights your soul on fire. You can tell, man, and incredible bit of service. And anyone listening, you want to get involved. Get involved. It is an incredible thing. Okay, I think we'll wrap it up. Just thank you, David. Thank you for an amazing Rico 12 speaker meeting. If we missed any, or if you wanted to ask a question, I didn't get any in the chat, guys, but feel free if you want to ask a question, or you'd like to continue a conversation afterwards and you didn't want to do it on the meeting, you can join our WhatsApp community. Email rico12pod@gmail.com. If you haven't yet, please rate and review the podcast on Apple Podcast and or Spotify. It's a powerful way to work step 12 and share recovery with others. Next Friday, we hear from another first-time Rico 12 speaker, Levi H., whose topic will be service keeps us sane and sober. Stay updated via WhatsApp or email list. If you've not yet subscribed, email rico12pod@gmail.com to join. Okay, we're going to wrap this up with a prayer that David will say for us. Over to you, David.
Okay, let's go with what we call the chaotic serenity prayer, which is the we version. We call it chaotic because it's not, but that's in the 12 and 12. The we version is at the end of the 12th step, but people call it chaotic. We always go it the other way. Let's have a moment of silence for the suffering alcoholics and that are suffering inside, and especially ones on the outside. And the children that's suffering because of the parents, followed by the we version of the serenity prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, man. There is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back, and when you do, come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
I've seen stars fall from above. I've fallen in and out of love. I've been high and I've been low. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. I've seen a boy become a man. He got lost without a plan. He's so far away from home. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know all the words to say. You make the world a better place, and I can call that place my home. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me, your touch is grinding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. So let me see just what you need to set you free, so we can be. I saw stars fall from above. I fell in and out of love. I got high and I fell low. But now I know that I just can't do this on my own. No, I just can't do this on my own. I just can't do this on my own.